Scheduled. Hey, we are live. What's up, wrestling fans? Two Bros Wrestling Show coming at you live and in living color via the power of the interwebs. What's up, Kevin?
I'm just sitting here like everyone else, waiting for the premium live events that are happening not just next weekend, but actually for the next couple of weekends. So this in some ways is the calm before the storm. Apologies to everyone about last week not having a show. We will make it up to you. That topic, we will tell you a little bit more about how we're going to make it up to you later on in the show. So you'll want to tune in for that as well.
Absolutely. Stick around for that. But first, what do we have, Kevin?
Oh, let's see if I can do it. Do you think we can?
There
we can.
Is. There it is.
You know, when you take a week off, you want to make sure you can still ring the bell. It's, you know, if people think that the ring, the bell keeper has an easy job. It's not so easy.
No, I mean, that's where the phrase ring rust originally came from, actually. You know, a bell keeper was off for a few weeks and then could not ring the bell.
I actually did not know that.
Yes, it is a true fictional fact. Look it up.
I will, but first, the news.
All right.
There wasn't a bigger event in the sports world as far as news goes. Maybe I should I do quotes when I say this? But yeah, sports and streaming came together with it's fair to say it was a stunt boxing event, not a boxing event. It was a stunt. A very successful, financially, I'm sure, stunt on Friday night between Jake Paul and a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. So let's talk Netflix, as this in many ways was a test for when the streamer starts hosting Raw live on Mondays. And while Friday's event was wildly talked about, it wasn't all for good reasons, and not just quality of the fight, but many reported connection issues, buffering nightmares. And I'm sure WWE officials were watching this really closely just to see how things might go for them. But you might have seen this, Doug, but I guess one WWE official said, or maybe it was a Netflix official that said, I think it was WWE, because the quote was something along the lines of, we'd be lucky if we had such problems because it was the amount of people tuning in that caused that type of connectivity issues. But still was a nightmare for a lot of folks. I was able to, it buffered on me once. I got back into it. But if you're doing a weekly show, the consumer may not have as much patience if it becomes a persistent issue. I'm sure that by January, this, again, many ways a test. So I know will have to be on top of that, knowing that they're going to be doing something live on Netflix weekly and that they can't make this part of the brand.
Yeah, but like you say, I've got to think this was like the extreme stress test for this. With Truly. The amount of people watching. So, no, I mean, it would be great if wrestling could get back to numbers like that, but
it may not be unlike, a WrestleMania or something that Netflix will be hosting in 90% of the world. So there are lessons to be learned from this, and we'll obviously continue to follow this. And before we're even off the subject of Netflix and Raw going there on Monday, apparently Netflix executives have some requests of their own. Maybe WWE will have some requests about connectivity issues come January. Well, Netflix has some requests when it comes to personnel.
Of course they do. Yeah.
WWE prepares to launch a Netflix in January, and the top brass of Netflix has made it clear who they want on the show. In particular, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes were all mentioned as requests for the male side of the roster. Exactly. They're not all on the same brand currently. Yeah. WWE sources are privately reporting that roster decisions for Raw and SmackDown have not yet been made, but obviously you still have some the top talent that is only available. You can't just put everyone on Raw. USA is not going to exactly like that. So how they navigate this could be something very interesting to watch politically as we move forward. Will there be a holiday draft before the end of the year to reset things in a way that makes all parties happy? But definitely something that we'll continue to follow as the weeks and days go by. Moving from WWE's new TV product to AEW's, we have word that starting in 2025, the AEW's TV tapings are about to see some enhancements, both on screen and for the live experience of those in the arena. AEW's head of global production, Mike Mansouri, stated that the company is going to embark on a more sports-style presentation in the arenas in order to entertain fans when there isn't a match or backstage promo being broadcasted. WWE does this, and it does keep the shows moving and from feeling like you're just sitting there during commercial breaks and all these lulls.
Right.
As for the broadcast themselves, AEW will begin using 16 production trucks and utilize Live Media Group IP-based mobile facilities. This will feature a North American-based production truck featuring an EVS Media Infra Strata router. Doug, you're our tech guy. I don't know if that means anything to you. It doesn't mean anything to me other than if it means that AEW is going to have crisper production and that's where they're taking some of this extra money that they're getting out of this deal and putting it.
Right,
I think that is a solid move for them.
Absolutely. We'll take it. What was it? A media what?
It is a EVS Media Infra Strata router.
Okay.
Our tech guru is on the case for this. Doug and I saw AEW this past year, and having been to WWE tapings and things, when you see the cavalcade of semi trucks branded WWE, it was actually kind of sad when we walked around the back of the arena and you realized it was a non-branded single truck. It looked like a really,
yes.
I mean, it looked like
pack up a rider moving van and just take some gear to the venue.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a local renta production kind of setup, and so no wonder they tend to have some production issues that hopefully get solved. Moving along, Doug, I don't know. Have you ever heard of Wesley Izoid?
Izoid sounds like it should be an alien from Star Trek. The Izoid
maybe
attacking.
Maybe it's Izold. He's a punk rock singer. I'm not familiar. He's based in Boston. And he has sued WWE World Champion Cody Rhodes.
Oh, this is the singer for American Nightmare, isn't it?
It is the singer for. I did not know there was an American Nightmare, but apparently there is a Boston-based hardcore punk band named American Nightmare. And Izold's suit claims that there is clothing and merchandise sales that Cody is doing with the American Nightmare name that violates a prior agreement between the two men that Izold said in court documents was struck after Rhodes attempted to trademark the American Nightmare and found out that Izold had already done so. Apparently, the agreement between the two, at least according to Izold, is that Rhodes was allowed to use but not register the name. And as long as he used it in a way on merch or products that clearly had Cody's image and or name prominently featured, so there would be no confusion. And obviously Izold must think that there has been some violations of that with just American Nightmare and it not being obvious that it's a wrestling shirt and not a music band promotional shirt. And Izold is seeking $900,000 in damages. We'll have to follow this one because this one's kind of juicy. That's interesting.
That's a lot of shirts, first of all. That is a lot of shirts.
It's a lot of shirts, quite honestly, for a band that I did not know existed. But hey, if you trademarked it first, you trademarked it first, right?
Right. So I understand, like, the agreement was almost like a wrestler's gentleman's agreement. Maybe they did a handshake. God, I hope not for old boy's sake. But, it's something like Cody's face is supposed to be really big on them or whatever, like 75% larger than the American Nightmare. But, apparently their American Nightmare, the band fans out there, accidentally going to WWEshop.com and accidentally purchasing Cody's T-shirts, apparently.
I don't know. Puts me in the mind of the World Wildlife Fund and people mixing them up somehow with the other zoo that is professional wrestling. can't imagine that there's too many people that would have, problems differentiating the two, but here we are.
It happens. People are silly. What can I say?
For people who can be silly but are also getting some promotion, and that is the Metaphor. Multiple NXT stars on the move to the main roster. Obviously, Metaphor has very much earned this graduation. Lash legend Jakara Jackson have been popping up on SmackDown and the recent Crown Jewel PLE. They just took a loss on NXT last week in what is expected to be their swan song. They would make great future opponents for Bianca and Jade. So I'm very happy for them. Apparently, though, it's not just Jakara and Lash, but apparently we have their two Metaphor stablemates, Noam Dar and Ora Menza, who reportedly are going to be making the move with them, even though they have not popped up on main roster programming as of yet.
This is something I've been wondering about, if all four of the Metaphor are coming up, or it's just the girls, because I've heard like a lot of conflicting things that keep bouncing around.
That's one of those stable names, though, that it's like it's so obvious. Like, how has it not been used before? Because it almost seems like it's perfect. I mean, and then when it's getting harder and harder to come up with really cool faction and or tag team names that just don't make you roll your eyes. Metaphor is perfect for a 4-person team.
It's great.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of NXT, let's talk NXT's recent head-to-head last Wednesday with AEW. Ooh. I know, right? Ratings winner was, drum roll. By now you've heard, but it was not even. I guess it wasn't the only head-to-head that wasn't as close as everyone thought it might be last week. But even when aired on its normal night, off of its normal night, NXT showed their show from the former ECW arena with legends like Dawn Marie, the Dudleys, Francine, Nunzio, Rhino, RVD. It beat out the regular Wednesday airing of Dynamite. Both shows were down in viewers due to election coverage, but NXT had some of its best demo numbers since moving to the CW. Meanwhile, Dynamite had one of its worst performances in the history of Dynamite, being down 17% in viewers, down 16% in the key demo. Not great. It's one thing when you're off your night, as AEW has been in the past, and lose when they go head to head on Tuesdays. I don't think it's going to matter at this stage of the game unless we get some turnarounds as to what that outcome is going to be. While on the topic of programming in AEW, let's talk about some upcoming changes for AEW. First, the November 30th episode of Collision will be airing at 4 in the afternoon and will be followed by a special 6 p.m. Saturday airing of Collision. What's up? Well, if that date rings a bell, you may realize that is the night of WWE Survivor Series. Now, of course, AEW isn't going to tell you that, but hello, previous news story. If AEW Dynamite can't beat NXT, you don't want Collision going up against one of the big 4 WWE pay-per-views. That's not going to turn out well for Tony Khan.
That's not cool.
Not cool, man. One more Collision note, and that is that most future episodes are going to be taped instead of live, as they have been since the show's the show was first, brought out as a live Saturday addition to the schedule. But the Wrestling Observer is noting future state AEW will record Collision more often than not moving forward. Yes, obviously, it's a way to save money, but it's also a way to make talent happy. Taping on Thursdays means they don't have to stay on the road a couple of extra days to go home and then come back out onto the road just a few days later after, Dynamite being on Wednesdays. Yes, there tends to be a rating sacrifice when we have seen Collision go to taped shows, but honestly, the Collision rating has been down so low. Yes, it does take a hit, but that does not outweigh the positives that they will get from not having a live TV show on Saturdays. Doug, I know you've been worried about this next one, but if you have been concerned about what Vince McMahon thinks about the direction of his former company, worry no more, my friend. The old
Please
man
tell me, Kevin. Please share.
He's happy, supposedly.
Good.
remember earlier this year when TKO's chief operating officer, Mark Shapiro, was pretty emphatic saying that McMahon and TKO were not in communication? Yeah, well,
Mm-hmm.
times change. Even though Shapiro is still insistent Vince has zero say in today's operations of the company, he did recently admit to having breakfast with Vince and indicated that Vince was happy with the company's direction. He is still a stockholder, after all, owning a little less than 5% of the company. So I'm sure financially he's been pleased with WWE's financial success this past year. Further, Shapiro said that Vince was doing well and even downplayed the serious sexual abuse allegations McMahon continues to face in lawsuits, describing them as, and this is Shapiro's words, quote, some litigation he's working through, and frankly, he wants the privacy and time to work through it. So just some litigation things he's working through.
Just, yeah,
Just a
little
little sex
dispute.
trafficking allegations.
Right. But it is a federal investigation. And Linda, didn't Linda donate like maybe $10 million to a particular political candidate? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I'm sure everything's going to work out great for Vince. It'll be
You mean
fine.
the one that whose cabinet she used to serve in last go around?
Maybe so. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure, as always, for the billionaires, things will be fine. Vince, if you're worried about Vince, don't worry about Vince.
No.
Speaking of Shapiro, he made some additional news recently. Remember last year when we reported WWE was looking into legalized betting on their product? Yeah. Well, apparently WWE realized legalized betting on scripted matches is a bad idea. Shapiro told a reporter who asked how that was coming, that TKO realized legalized betting doesn't work with their business model, saying that it's enough of a challenge to keep award shows winners and things like that under wraps with an auditor, and that they're not going to ask Triple H to keep his scripts under lock and key just so they can start sports betting. At least that's a good thing that this is an idea that is apparently dead, because that was a horrible, horrible idea.
Terrible idea. Right up there with Raw Underground. Right up there with it.
Quick congratulations to Kazuchika Okada and his wife for recently welcoming their second child. So congrats to the happy couple. And then finally, if you've yet to help the New Day escape from the Undertaker, well, you are running out of time, my friend. The chintzy Halloween special from a few years back, Escape the Undertaker, is getting ready to depart from Netflix. The streamer is delisting most of its interactive titles on December 1st, and the Escape the Undertaker thing was one of those choose your own adventure type programmings that Netflix did a few of a couple years back. They experimented with that, not keeping very many, so I'm guessing that it's probably just not worth the bandwidth it has to have all those multiple cobwebbed kind of endings out there. So go watch it now, Doug, if you still have time, if you haven't helped.
How did I not know this was a thing? It sounds awesome.
I can't believe we didn't discuss it. And yes, I did help the New Day escape the Undertaker. I did not go through all of the possible endings, but back when it first came on, I helped them. I helped them get away.
Good job.
You also better do it before they break up, because that's happening soon too.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
And with that, something that's happening so soon, we're talking next weekend soon, and that is the latest premium live event. I guess they're still pay-per-views for now in AEW's parlance anyway, until at least they go to Max. Yes. But we have what is currently a 9-match card, which seems like reasonable for most organizations, but very, very light for a Tony Khan production.
Not for Tony. Yeah, not for Tony. Okay, got
Full gear.
Got my notes.
Doug, I'm going to start with a match that we know is going to be on the pre-show with someone that I do not know and somebody that I didn't even realize was still hanging around AEW. But we got QT Marshall, or QT Marshall, depending on who is the announcer pronouncing it. But he's taking on Big Boom AJ with Big Justice.
Who? Okay, first of all, I thought QT left. And who is Big Boom? And who is Big Justice? Who are these people? Are these like Nightmare Factory, like graduates or something?
They are so WWE gets the Pauls.
Oh,
Apparently,
come on, really?
poor Tony gets Big Boom and Big Justice, who are social media stars of some sort. But
I don't know.
I
I'm
have
clicking
never
on the big boom, big AJ, AJ Boom, Eric. Oh, okay, there's two of them. Yeah, Costco guys, social media personalities. It's a father and son duo, huh?
considering I don't know
Okay.
who they are, and that poor QT is, I mean, I've seen him win some matches in Mexico when I watched like CML, but when was the last time he actually won anything in AEW or even been on TV? And I'm figuring this is a harmless pre-show match that no one cares about. I certainly don't. So let's just say Big Boom, because
I'm so
celebrity-ish.
Wait, is the one guy like a former wrestler? His son Eric was named after his wrestling persona born in 2012. He also has the okay, so I didn't realize this was a thing, but that sounds awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
So maybe don't turn in for 0 hour for those of you who
Right?
actually still do turn in for 0 hour, because it's going to be a 6 hour night. So you can skip the first two in the pre-show and go straight to the 4 hour pay-per-view and
Yeah,
miss old Big Boom going over QT. Unless, Doug, you want to say that, QT goes, I don't think that there's any right or wrong way to go with this one.
no, QT's looking at the lights at the end of the night, staring at the lights.
Now, there's definitely a right or wrong way to go with this next one, and that is everyone's favorite scumbag, even though we're not supposed to like him anymore. But MJF, who
Yeah.
has been off
He's
TV for a while and is returning, and he's been off and doing some Hollywood filming and things. And I mean,
hmm
I love Roderick Strong. We can hear him, yell Maxwell or something before, and we'll
Yep.
love it. We'll laugh. It'll be a great match because Roderick Strong is a solid worker. But you can't reintroduce MJF back to your programming and expect anything other than I wouldn't call it a squash per se, but I wouldn't give Roddy too much offense in this one. MJF needs to come back strong and take this victory.
Yeah, do we get any action from Cole here? What do you
It would
think?
be a good opportunity for it if we want to plant seeds as we get ready to round the calendar out and move into the next year of AEW programming.
hmm
I see that.
Yeah, yeah, but MJF, yeah, MJF's going over. Of course he is.
Now, this next one for me, Doug, is a little harder because unlike this match of MJ and Roddy, where it's obvious who needs to win, I would argue that both these guys could use a win. And when you have those kind of situations, it really makes it difficult to predict because somebody has to take the L here. And that is Jay White, who, in my mind, is finally getting pushed as a
hmm
possible upper mid, instead of
Yep.
a lower mid card or a comedy act, he's moving up the card as a singles performer against who I think could arguably be made the argument be made that Hangman Adam Page is probably the best singles star that AEW has created on their own
hmm
without having
Agreed.
nationals. So Hangman has been out of the world title picture for a while. Jay White was a main eventer in Japan and has been not that since coming over.
Very much not that.
They both need to be in the upper mid card, if not in the main event scene already. So, how do you book this one? Who goes over when they both need it?
So I put Hangman on the mat looking at the lights just because Jay I think needs it more, and you want to push Jay. You let him defeat somebody of Hangman's caliber since coming to AEW because as Jay's gone out of the way to point out multiple times, he always has victories over Hangman in Japan, but he needs that victory here to kind of elevate his status because Hangman, past world champion, psychotic deathmatch king in AEW along with Swerve at this point.
Yeah.
I think Jay gets the win and needs the win more than Hangman.
I agree with you for the very reasons you described. There's part of me that wants to go Hangman here just because I think that honestly, this is one of those like I'm mad you booked it. The match will be good,
hmm
but
Yeah,
Hangman has been the good soldier so many times
Hmm.
that he is your best AEW created star, and yet he's nowhere near the world title and hasn't been in a while now. And you keep having him come out on the short end of his feuds and most of his matches. Um, no one doubts his toughness. No one doubts now what he can do in the ring. He just needs to be on a streak, and but so does Jay White. And Jay White has never
Yeah.
tasted that main event yet in
Right.
AEW. So I guess you could flip a coin, but I'm with you that Jay needs it more. I don't know that's the way they'll go, but Jay needs it slightly more than Hangman.
Right.
Hopefully Hangman gets something juicy come next premium live event and he goes over. But here I'd like to see it be Jay because I don't want to see his ascent stopped prematurely when he's not where he needs to be yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jay's done. Yeah, I think Jay's done a lot for AEW. Kind of like, just like Hangman's being like a really good soldier. I'm thinking Jay has too. I mean, you took the Bang Bang Gang and you made them something really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have thought it either, but definitely more entertaining than I expected, but also not what I wanted.
Yeah, there. That's
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
not what I wanted for him.
not what we wanted.
Let's go. What do you say? Let's go to the tag title
Tag team.
match.
Yeah. There's
So
like
there,
700 people in this match. What is this, a
I
58-man tag team match?
I was going to ask you what you were wearing so that I could coordinate because I think we're in it. I think we're one of the teams.
We may
It
be.
is. It
I don't
is a
remember us
four-way.
qualifying, but who knows?
It wouldn't be, Doug, a premium live event in AEW without a multi-person spot fest where everyone flips, flops, and flies for 15 minutes and no one sells. So that's what this match is. For the
Well,
AEW World Tag Team Championship, you have Private Party versus the Outrunners versus the Kings of the Black Throne versus the Acclaimed. What say you?
Private Party needs to retain to, we don't need to start playing hot potato with these belts, but do something with the black, the Black Throne. Do something with this House of Black. I'm not sure if this is the place to do it. No, it's not, because Private Party needs to retain. These Outrunners are fun. They're
Yeah,
goofy.
they're
I
fun.
like them, but
Like,
not their time. And the Acclaim, I think the Acclaim needs a little something, maybe a
they're on the edge
defeat
of
here.
breaking up too, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's tension in those promos anymore, and Max Caster's leaning awful heavy on calling himself the best wrestler in the world to the annoyance of his partner, it would seem. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that takes them out. And I'm with you. I don't know, man. There's part of me that would love to see the Outrunners like
Oh,
Truth and
sure.
Turbo, but just not now because
Not yet. Yes.
Private Party has been that team that waited for a long time for this, and they're just
Yes.
getting
I mean,
started.
those kids just got that.
Yeah, and I
So,
think there's a lot of potential in them as I mean, yes, AEW has a lot of high spot tag teams. I mean, just the template is the Bucks, and they are the elder statesmen,
hmm
but they're not going
yeah.
to be able to go forever. And so you have your top flights and your private parties, and there's young teams that wrestle that same exciting,
hmm
maybe overly stunty style, but still they're as good as it gets when it comes to that style. And you just put the straps on them. You got to keep them on them.
Yeah. Agreed.
Let's move on then to the singles match for the AEW TBS Championship. You have your champion, Mercedes Moné, with Camille versus Chris Statlander. Doug, I like both of the women involved in this. Two great talents. Could be a great match. We'll see if those styles mesh. I'd like to see this go long. I'd like to see this be a showcase match, but I don't know that Chris is the one. I mean, I know that Chris, in my mind, is not the one that's going to take it
I know.
off of
I
Mercedes.
know. I'd rather almost see Camille and Statlander have a match. So I think that
two big
I would
women
rather,
that are just
yes, I
the
would rather
size.
see that. You know, two big beefy females. We always see like the big hosses in there. But I think Camilla and Statlander would be an excellent match. Mercedes is going to do something dangerous, almost hurt somebody, end up hurting herself, and then not wrestle for weeks on end, and walk away with the victory.
What? No, you don't want that. We can't put that in the universe.
It's gonna happen, man. It's what happens when she wrestles now.
Do you think that she's had a signature match in AEW just yet?
I can't think of one.
So I think it's time. I don't know that Statlander's the person that's going to mesh enough to have that with, but
Right.
I mean, there's no doubt about that fact that Mercedes has a aura about her that is, main event. She is money. But I don't know that signature AEW match has happened yet in the way that it did back in her old WWE days, or even when she was in New
Absolutely.
Japan. So I'd like to see this one maybe get over that hump for her so that she can take her AEW career to that next level it needs to go.
I would love to see that return of the boss, but kind of reminds me of Shinsuke Nakamura and kind of what Kazuchika Okada is doing in AEW right now, where they just show up and kind of slum and get the paycheck and do a little thing, and they're not doing their New Japan greatness, or in Mercedes case, or NXT WWE greatness. It's just not there, and I'm not sure why that is.
Let's bring it, ladies. I want to see it on this one. We're in agreement again on this one, though, Doug. And not only have we yet to disagree, but we've also yet to predict any title changes. Let's see if that goes on when we get towards our main event.
All right.
But before we get there, we have a singles match. No championship on the line, but a lot of pride in a really hot feud that has initiated between former world champion Swerve Strickland and the newcomer who we've yet to see actually in ring, and that is Bobby Lashley.
Bobby.
I like this. I like what they're doing
with this. Yeah.
I like this a lot. Again, it's like with the match we mentioned earlier with Hangman and Switchblade, is that like both guys need this. Swerve lost this title. Swerve lost the Hangman. Swerve needs to be on the way up. But can you bring in Bobby Lashley and have him lose in his first match?
You can't, but you can. Swerve can lose because he's going to have the numbers game. It's like kind of fighting the bloodline. You got the numbers game here, so Swerve has a reason to lose this. You've got a Hurt Business. The Hurt Syndicate now. At ringside, so Bobby gets the win. There's some wacky interference, and Hangman. How many times am I going to call Swerve Hangman during this? Swerve.
Hangman's not going to like that. Hangman going to show up to your house if you do that.
As long as he doesn't burn it down. It's an old house. It'll probably go up quick.
I think right down not just to the decision, but to the booking on this one, we're in lockstep. So Bobby's got to win this one, and it is the Hurt Syndicate that'll help him do it.
Yeah.
We have a singles match for the AEW TNT Championship. We have the Scapegoat, Jack Perry, versus Daniel Garcia. Doug, I'm calling it here. This is the only spot I can see on this card where a title change
changes. I think so. I think you're right.
I just want to disagree.
No, because it's time for Jack to move on. He's rehabbed the Jungle Boy nonsense. The Scapegoat's been great. Bucks are working from home. Not sure what Okada's doing.
Having a kid is what he's doing.
So no elite anywhere around. Garcia. Time for Garcia to get handed something for re-signing with AEW and betting on himself in AEW. So,
Garcia is one of those guys that anytime you see him in the ring, he brings it. I mean, he is such a technical, but for whatever reason, he always seems low card, mid card at best. Like
Right.
I don't know why that for all that they seem to have faith in him in the ring, they have not had faith with pushing him or his character. This is a chance
Hmm.
to right that ship. And I think Jack Perry is at this point made man, will lose nothing other
Yeah,
than the titles with this. I think Daniel needs something to legitimize him a little more in the eyes of fans, and this will be the way to do it.
agreed. And I think you have Daddy Magic talking for Garcia. There's something there then. That clicks, that works. Garcia in the ring, Daddy Magic on the mic, you got something there.
You make an excellent point because if there is something that is, if you could say something about Garcia in the negative, it might be that his mic work has never really stood out, and that's not the case with Daddy Magic. So, nothing wrong with having a mouthpiece, especially when you
No,
can back it up in the ring the way that Daniel Garcia is. Daniel Garcia,
absolutely.
your new TNT championship. The two bros are in agreement. Mark our words. Hold us to it.
We are close to a clean sweep here. Is that a sports ball
Yeah, we
thing?
are, man. We
Yeah,
are. We usually are I'd say 80% of the time you and I
yeah.
have a similar mindset. Tonight we're heading towards 100. Um, unless you're picking Kyle Fletcher in this one, we got Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, and I have to say that this has been entertaining watching these two friends, former friends, fall apart. But Ospreay is a main eventer. Cal Fletcher is a solid hand. You could make the argument that with some Don Callis shenanigans, maybe this goes the other way, but I just don't see, based on some of these other outcomes, the babyface Will Ospreay losing this one.
You know, Here it goes. Because
I hope so. Go for it.
I think Fletcher needs a win more than
He
Osprey does
does.
here,
He
right?
does. He
Totally,
totally
totally
does.
needs a win. And Tony does like to go the same well way too often. So we've got another out here for Osprey when half, if not all, of the new Don Callis family comes out. Of course, he's got his own friends now. Like he said the other day, he's been in those meetings. He knows what happens in those Don Callis family meetings. But I think what it will come down to is a accidental. Oh gosh, what was the other guy in United Empire? His tag team partner, Davis, right? It's going to be that guy that causes unintentionally Fletcher to win because he's just the way he's like, wait, Kenny, what are you doing? Yeah, I called him Kenny. I'm all over the place with my wrestlers tonight. That's what happens when I don't get
Right.
enough sleep. But he's trying to stop Osprey from going after Kyle. At one point, he's like, okay, that's enough. You made your point, kind of thing. I think that's going to be the deciding factor here, accidental deciding factor.
Accidental deciding factor. I'm just happy to see us disagree on a match.
Right.
I'm going Osprey. Doug's going Fletcher. That's great. I will say one other thing that's great though. And I don't know what
Fletcher
this
and
says about.
Osprey in a
No,
ring together.
the match is going to be great,
Right.
but is it wrong for me to say that I take Kyle Fletcher like more seriously now as a serious player, singles wrestler now that he got that haircut? For some reason, the hair before, like that dude doesn't look like a main eventer, and now
No.
suddenly it's like, okay, now he looks like a dude that you can invest some time in.
Ab- Absolutely.
It's the stupid
Absolutely.
haircut. I'm sorry, that just didn't work for me. It didn't make him look major league.
Now now he has the look to go along with that talent. So
Yeah,
let's
and
start
regardless of
elevating the
whichever
kid.
way this goes, even if Will Ospreay wins, like I think, he's going to put
Oh
Fletcher
yeah,
up. Fletcher's winning this one way or the
absolutely.
other because of being in the
Absolutely.
ring on a pay per view with Will Ospreay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that leads us to our main event, Doug, and that is a singles match for the AEW World Championship. You have John Moxley, leader of the former Blackpool Combat Club, versus Orange Cassidy, who has been doing yeoman's work here lately, showing that he
Yes.
does have another gear when it comes to that character when he wants to get serious and actually deliver promos. Love the build up. I think it's going to be a great match, but we are entering an era of AEW where it's obvious they're trying to change their fortunes and their narrative, and they're doing so with this takeover by the Death Riders led by Jon Moxley. There's no reason to think that is going to be halted by Orange Cassidy.
Now, I love what Moxley's doing. I love the other Death Riders. I got a problem with whatever the hell they're doing with Yuta, but that's going to play into this a bit here, but not much, I think, in the end. And you know, OC's not the one to correct this course just yet. I think Mox is on his personal mission to bring AEW up to a full reset and
it
take it
is.
in.
I mean, that's the word. It is a reset, and it's very obvious that the answer that Tony has for what has been a rough year, ratings wise, is we need to reset the company, and they're doing it on the backs of Jon Moxley, and this is just part of that. And Orange will just be the good hand that gets a good match here, but nothing more.
Yeah, I totally agree. We give Kenny a little bit more time in Japan, let him come back sometime next year, and put the band back together.
AEW.
Exactly. It's not time to put the band back together yet, though.
Not yet, but good luck to you anyway, Orange.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
And with that, entertaining is what we expect next week from Full Gear. Doug and I,
Indeed.
We've predicted 9 matches for you. Again, it's Tony Khan, so look for the next week to add 9 more matches for and then he'll probably round it up to 20 because no one wants just that lower number.
You gotta have that nice even number.
Those are the main matches.
And then a 6-hour media scrum afterwards.
That's be prepared for a long weekend, fans, is what we're saying. But we do have you at least up to speed. Let us know what you think of our predictions in the comments, because if you think that we're totally off the mark, we want to be called out on it.
Call us out.
Let's call some people out here, Doug, in our big finish.
Let's do this. Let me dive in here, man, with a botch.
You dive. You just dive.
The Wyatt 6 was an amazing, exciting thing. All the teases, all the throwbacks to Bray, just the honoring of Bray and bringing in something really cool like this concept that, he never really was able to get off the ground. We kind of, WWE handed over the reins to Bo Dallas and let him run with it. And I like Uncle Howdy Bo Dallas better than Bo Dallas. Yeah. The character, it's a better character for this Rotunda kid, but I don't know what the hell AEW is doing with him now. Well, first of all, it's not AEW, it's WWE, but I've got Wheeler Yuta in my brain, and it's a sleepy brain too. So, but yeah, I want to see the Wyatt Six do awesome things, and by awesome things, I don't mean include Miz in their programs with.
It started out so well.
And same thing with Karrion Kross, man. That is, that's a great character, but I don't know what's going on with him. He might as well be back out there in like the red gimp outfit Vince had him in back in the day. It's just ridiculous all around, and I feel like all these people are being wasted in this nonsense, and I'm just calling it you've already screwed up, you've broken a really cool new toy, Triple H, and this is what we have now. The Wyatt Six versus Miz and the Final Apocalypse, or whatever the hell they're called this week. Testament, or I don't know. I don't even know. This is how angry old man I am about this.
Mine is not something I'm nearly as angry about as Doug is angry, and it's not with WWE. I'm going AEW this time, and that's just, I don't know, dudes. Like, maybe let's talk to a carpentry union or something, because you really need some help in your construction. You do not have load-bearing walls. This is quite apparent to me. But when Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander went gently tripping through a wall on Dynamite this past week, I could not help but think to earlier this year when Jericho put Samoa Joe out indefinitely, thanks to also a non-load bearing wall. Stop using cardboard, guys. It's very much. It looks like a Shockmaster, tripping through paper every time you put somebody through. Oh my gosh, she went through a wall. No, she didn't. She barely,
No.
Unless there's a paper cut, I do not fear for either of the ladies from this past week's Dynamite. It doesn't look good on TV either. So let's find
It
another
does
spot.
not. It does not. You want to get something good, looks good on TV? Get the special effects guy from The Penguin. That dude knows his craft, okay?
Let's talk about things that are good on TV, Doug. Let's talk performance or performer, or however you choose to go with it. Let's call out some
So
good things.
I'm going to acknowledge my tribal chief this week, Kevin, because I really enjoy just the sheer disappointment and just the what do I do now when he calls the wise man. And I love the Paulus too. So great. Call. Oh, I'm serious about to call the wise man. Hold on.
Wait a minute. You have Paul Heyman's number?
I've got it, but
Man.
Reigns doesn't have it anymore,
yourself.
but I love that. Not real crazy about Jonah or Bronson Reed becoming like the fifth man. I really wanted somebody from the family. I get it. He's New Zealand. He's got that Maori look about him. So sure, we might as well call him Samoan. Let's just lump them all together. But this all but guarantees this week on Raw, we see Rollins get that much closer to joining the original bloodline.
Yep. Good work. Yeah, absolutely good work. I'm calling out some good work that honestly I could have called out the last few weeks if it had not been for other things. So I'm just giving a blanket performance of the week for the fact that we're seeing the Motor City Machine Guns on SmackDown. They have yet to disappoint in any of their appearances. They had a banger of a match this past week with the Street Profits, even though it didn't have a conclusive finish. But anytime they've been on my TV, they have been entertaining and showing why. They are one of the best tag teams of the last 20 years. And just to think that whether it was Impact or the Indies or wherever it is in the world that these two have wrestled, that they have managed to stay off the main stage that is WWE and off the radar of 90% of wrestling fans who only watch WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get to see, even at this age, and it's not like they're old, but 20 years in the business, they should be slowing down and they still go like they go. To see these guys who worked as hard and for as long as most people will ever work before they actually get to the WWE, to see them finally there and being put over in like one of their first matches as champions, and just the run that they're on, it's like one of those like pinch me and wake me up kind of things, because who would have ever thought that for the Motor City Machine Guns? Maybe in the first 5-10 years, but at this stage, I never thought I'd see this for them, and I am very, very happy for them.
Yeah, I have no disagreements there. Absolutely not. Machine Guns. I just wish the crowd, the WWE crowd, I know they could win them over, especially with what the magic they were making with the Street Profits on Friday night. But, they can win the crowd over, but it's almost like the majority of the WWE audience, the live audience anyway, is like, who are these guys?
Who are these guys?
And why don't the Street Profits or DIY or, any other familiar face, why don't they have these belts? Who are these guys?
Just stay with the plan, stick with them, and let them win the fans over, because it'll happen.
Just let them cook. Just let them cook.
Match of the week, my friend.
I'm going to piggyback off of you and say that Street Profits. Even I even like the ending. I like Ciampa coming out there just like angry and just like disturbing the whole thing. And it's like, okay, this is the Blackheart. Eventually he's going to come out with no music whatsoever again, and I love that. But that was like you said, it was a banger of a match, and I both these teams are just so good, really. But Street Profits, Machine Guns,
Yeah, it was magic in the ring, and if it does lead to down the road DIY breaking up and the main roster getting to see what a
That's
Johnny
exactly what I
Champa,
was
yeah,
thinking.
if they see a Johnny Champa feud like we had back in the NXT days, oh
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
one
that's
run with
exactly
that while these guys can still go like they can right now. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
that is exactly what I was thinking when Champa came out there and then Johnny comes out and to break the whole thing up.
Pushes,
And I was like,
yeah,
this is great.
this is good stuff. Good
Because I'm
stuff all the
thinking
way around.
this goes one of two ways. It's a super kick party to both machine guns from Champa and Gargano, which, they're not those kind of guys. Or Champa goes psycho killer.
Yep.
And, we're this close, this close.
My match of the week, I'm going to go with Swerve Strickland versus Leo Rush, both for the match
It's
itself, which
great.
was great. And I mean, honestly, Leo Rush is one of those guys who has been his own worst enemy most places he's
Hmm.
gone. So I'm hoping those issues are behind him when he goes. Obviously, we know that Swerve can go. The two of them together, it was a taste. They obviously could have gone longer, could have been more, but
Hmm.
what they gave us was fantastic. And I'm not just calling out for the match itself, but it also advanced Swerve's feud with the wonderfully reunited Hurt Business. I mean, Hurt Syndicate, but still,
I did
it's
too.
wonder. I mean, it's good stuff. It's all good stuff that they got going on there, and that was a great match that you should go check out if you somehow managed to miss it this week.
Yeah, definitely. And Swerve is like the best person to work with Leo because they just click so well together. You got a bigger Swerve, not like he's ragdolling Leo around, but everything Leo does works so much better with Swerve, who's there to work with him. It was like this intricate dance. It's like I'm watching some like really great foreign action film at points when I was watching that because everything is just choreographed so well and just kind of boom. It just
And
yeah, that was good stuff too. Yeah.
that was good stuff. Either of those matches, you cannot go wrong. We highly recommend you go watch it.
Absolutely.
And we highly recommend that you watch Full Gear, and we highly recommend that you tune back into the Two Bros Wrestling Show next week. You see our schedule scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Next week, we are coming back with a Survivor Series War Games
War games.
preview. Yes, we'll be right on the heels of an AEW pay-per-view, but we have to turn immediately to the future and be previewing Survivor Series for you. And as I promised at the beginning, we talked about, and it's not on our schedule here, we talked about last week's show, which we did not end up getting to do, that topic of your guide to the calendar that is professional wrestling throughout the week, throughout the changes that we have seen in both the AEW and WWE. What's on when now? We are doing that as a
It's on
holiday
win now.
special. We're going to be dropping it into November or early December in this time frame you see below. So stay tuned for more information on that. It's going to be a special standalone episode. No opening bell, no big finish, just something that you can refer to when you need it to figure out what the changes are with your favorite wrestling programming. You will not want to miss that. And hopefully you won't miss
Not
us next
miss
week.
it. Go watch some wrestling. Good night, everybody.
Thanks.